It was a quite late evening at the Wonderbolt Academy. Surprise had still not left the academy to go home when she heard a noise. And she heard it was actually Rainbow Dash, who has still not even left the academy either. She thought maybe that she was the last one behind, but turns out she wasn't. So Surprise walked up to her and asked if she was okay, and Rainbow said that she was just fine. She's just a bit tired after all this practice today. But then Surprise heard that Rainbow Dash's stomach was growling. She was starving. So Surprise asked if she wanted to have something to eat with her. She knows a good place or just nearby in Cloudsdale. Rainbow thought, since there was quite a way to travel back to Pulneville, so she thought, why not? So she went with Surprise to this restaurant nearby. At first they just talked mostly about their practice today and some other things that Wonderbolt related. But after a while they both decided to talk about something else. Rainbow then asked, surprised, how she were liking to be in the Wonderbolts and if she had something else in mind before she decided to want to be part of the Wonderbolts. And Surprise said that she enjoyed the baking, and she often visited her grandmother who lived in Trottingham, and she loved to bake with her grandmother before she passed away. And after that, she decided to make her own bakery. She always had a dream to open a bakery, but she realized that to open a bakery would be a lot of time consuming and a lot of money. And since her family didn't have enough money for her to open her own bakery, she thought maybe that she could have to work somewhere to have a work so she can earn a lot of money, so she could buy a place for open her own bakery. And she tried several works like delivering boys for newspapers in the mornings and other types of dog walking and full sitting. Even she tried so many times at different works, but it wasn't that much as a savings. She thought maybe that those works did earn a lot of money, but as she counted, she she didn't had enough for even she maybe had money enough to open a bakery and maybe pay the rent for maybe 2 months. After that, she was out. And knowing that, she would have to hire somebody to help her at the bakery, and she would not have enough money to even to pay her employees and to have the place open. She even asked her parents if they could ask for help to maybe get a loan from the bank. They went to the bank, but the bank said no because she didn't have any insurance or at least any stable work so that she could pay off the loans, the debt. So her dream to be a baker was getting fader and fader over time. Until when she walks by on the street, she saw the Wonderbolts are looking for new members. It turns out some of the old members before Spitfire and Sora and the others with her joined were going to retire. So surprise, she thought maybe that she could. She didn't know at first, but when she asked some of the ponies who had been seen or worked for at the academy, they informed her that a Wonderbolt earns a lot of money. Their annual payment is about 10,000 bits with taxes, and that amount of money would be enough for her to open her bakery. So she thought maybe if she could be part of the Wonderbolts, she can just save up the money she had. So she did. But even her parents said there is a chance you might not be even taken. But she did not give up her hope, so she went to the Wonderbolts Academy, tried to be part of this. to be maybe a new member, even she had her when she had her father's word in her head saying, there is a chance you might not be taken, but go for it. So that's was the reason why she became part of Wonderbolts. And Rainbow, she was actually surprised to hearing that. She didn't expect much of that and much of details about why Surprise wanted to be as a Wonderbolt. So she asked if she had earned a lot of money yet. Surprise said yes, that she had, but unfortunately most of the money went to her parents. It turned out that her mother sir, was suffering from a very much ailment. She had cancer, and the treatment was quite expensive. And since her parents didn't have the medical insurance to cover it, so her mother, who had only been given by by doctor some pain medicine and some other advice to do. But since now Surprise had enough money to open her own bakery, she decided to sacrifice the money that she had saved for her mother. And her mother said that she didn't have to do that, but she did it anyways. And luckily, this medicine, all the treatment worked. All the money she has saved managed to cover all the expenses. After almost 2 years, her mother was free from cancer, and there was still a lot enough for her to surprise to open her bakery. But after being part of the Wonderbolts for nearly 3 to 4 years, she decided that she didn't want to be a baker anymore. She loved to be part of the Wonderbolts to perform for other ponies or for entertainment. And the money she saved, sure, maybe some of it goes to her family and some other charity. But she did work at a local bakery in Trottingham for fun. And then, since Surprise already knew that Rainbow had always wanted to be part of Wonderbolt since ever since she's a filly, so that's much of it that they talked about at that evening. But later that same night, at Surprise home, she could not stop thinking about her dream to be a baker. Even deep down, she wanted to be a baker, but she had much more passion to be a Wonderbolt. So she decided maybe that was time to move on from her dream to something else. But even at the same time, Rainbow Dash had thought if she could maybe help Surprise to be part of her dream. She then had asked, since the day after they had a day off from work. So Rainbow spent some time with Applejack, Rarity, and Twilight at the castle. They were just having some tea party when Rainbow mentioned about Surprise Dream. They all looked at her, and so they asked her why did she bring it up and brought it up. So Rainbow felt sorry for her and wanted to help her. So she had asked Twilight if she could maybe help Surprise to open a bakery. Twilight did ask how, what kind of she needs help with. I mean, she didn't exactly know exactly herself. But Rainbow, she had asked if Twilight knew there were any places in town or maybe other towns that could have been enough place for her to open a bakery, and that if she could maybe help us, maybe help her with some of the payment. Twilight said that she had to look it up first because she had no much idea. And Rarity, since she had a business and store both in Cantlot and in Maidhaven, so she thought maybe that she could maybe look around as well from Trottingham because she has a few friends who live there. Some of them were in the estate apartment, so they did. A couple of days later, Rarity had informed Rainbow she had found a place, even if it wasn't so big, but was big enough for a small bakery to be placed. And Twilight had also mentioned that the rent in that building for that particular place wasn't that high, and only that required for around 150 to 200 bits in a month. And that Rainbow thought this could have been a very much steal. So, but she decided to ask Surprise again if she still wanted to be as a baker. So the next day at the academy, just after a practice, Rainbow then had asked Surprise if she wanted to be part as a baker, part-time worker or something, but she still had said that she had moved on. But then Rainbow mentioned about her idea, and that her friends had actually found a place just in Trondheim. Surprise just stared at her friend and didn't believe it. But she said that she hasn't even bought the place yet or rented it. It was still open for anyone to rent it. It was still an opportunity for both that Surprise could own her own bakery, but that would also meant quitting the Wonderballs. And, and since Surprise loved that, but Rainbow had already talked with Spitfire about all of this. And Spitfire did knew about Surprise's dream to be a baker, because she had mentioned that before to her before. So Spitfire had also said that she would be willing to give Surprise a day off from time to time to work on the baker. And when Spitfire had told it to Rainbow, and Rainbow told that to Surprise, she could not start crying. Even Rainbow, she wanted to help her friend. So for next week, both Rainbow and Surprise worked together at this new place in Trondheim for the new bakery. And they all worked almost all night just to install the new ovens, all the other things that were needed. But what they didn't know, during this time, for in fact for about a year earlier, Surprise had actually fallen in love with Rainbow. And she hadn't even told anyone, not even her friends. This was a very close secret, only to her to know. Because she knew that her parents would support her, but she hadn't actually thought about it as a relationship with anyone. But one day she wanted to tell Rainbow, and on the grand opening of the new bakery, all her friends had invited the rest of the Wonderballs and including some of Rainbow's friends. And it was just a great place because only a few days after the bakery was open, and it was packed with ponies who wanted to see the new bakery. And even if it only has been open for about a week, she had only got good reviews from the local newspapers and from local ponies and even tourists. The bakery was a great success. So Wonderballs was starting to wonder, will Surprise leave them and be a full-time baker? But Surprise had informed them she would always be a Wonderbolt and she won't leave. She would still work for them. And that she only works most of the time when they had day offs or breaks, because since they recently had a big competition, or at least a big show on the tour for about 2 months, they have now 2 months of a break from the Wonderbolts. So surprised, she took this opportunity to work at the bakery. And at first, there was some points that were suspicious. Why would this Wonderbolt working there own a bakery when she could be part of Wonderbolts? But they also changed their mind after learning that she loved this because this was her big dream. And around the same time, Surprise had actually told Rainbow how she felt for her. But Rainbow, she didn't say much because All she did was just blushing and smile and kissing, surprised in front of her friends. Even her friends were really surprised seeing that Rainbow were kissing surprise like that in front of them. Most of her friends had no idea that Rainbow had actually been in love with Surprise for at least a couple of months. So right after the grand opening, Rainbow had actually invited and had in fact asked Surprise out on a date, which she said yes immediately. So both of them went to a restaurant in Trondheim and they had a great time. Going to a restaurant, having amazing dinner, even afterwards they went to the local park to just sit down and talk and watch the stars together. Even then though, this was actually the first time when Surprise parents met Rainbow, but this was before that they start dating because they met her at the bakery during grand opening. They knew that she was a friend of Surprise from the Wonderballs. But now, since they were dating, Surprise wanted to announce this to her family. So she did that at the next day when she brought Rainbow. Rainbow, she was very confident that everything was going to go well, but surprised otherwise, she was really, really nervous. Even Rainbow mentioned that, saw that, and told her, "Don't be worried, everything will go well. Your parents will love all this. You know that they want you to see you be happy." And surprised you to know that and realize that. But she was still very much nervous how this first meeting, as of now, as they are dating, to be for their parents. And at first, the parents were actually supportive, but they were surprised hearing about this. They were a bit shocked, most of the part, but they were all just smiling and said that they were just happy to see that daughter had found a special song pony. Because they were even worried if she would even settle down someday and perhaps even have a family of her own. And since then, she had actually had that kind of dreams to be married someday and have a family. And only a few days after, they actually went to Cloudsdale to see Rainbow's parents. But they had already met Surprise much earlier when she became part of Wonderballs. But they only knew her as a friend and as a team member, but now this was the first announcement to her parents that she was dating Surprise. But her parents was, as they always are, they were so overjoyed, so excited. They tried to make this as a big event. But Rainbow, she told her parents, "Don't react like that because this is just a normal time for them to get to know Surprise." And even the parents tried to act normal, but deep inside they were so excited they just wanted to scream of that their daughter had found a special song pony. But they were just both supportive. It happened over time when both Rainbow and Surprise were with the rest of the team to Cantlot for a big show for the princesses. After the show, they had a small fight, or most like an argument, where to do sex. I mean, they want, they didn't know what to do next after this. I mean, Rainbow, she was just wanted to walk around town and just to relax, while Surprise wanted to go to a restaurant to have a dinner and maybe do something fun afterwards. Of course, Rainbow didn't mind to have a dinner, but she didn't want to mostly to relax afterwards. Even she is very much known for being good in for adventures or any competitions. But today she just wanted to relax afterwards. They had this argument that Surprise wanted to do something fun, but Rainbow, she just wanted to relax. So after that argument, Surprise just left Rainbow on the street and went somewhere else. And but surprised realized it wouldn't be fun without her, so she went back. In fact, Rainbow she had even gone far when she found her. They apologized to each other, and Surprise told Rainbow what kind of fun she wanted to do. There were this karaoke bar club in Candlelight she had often gone to, and she wanted to go take her there. And Rainbow thought, okay, this could be fun. And even after they left the club, both of them were so much in love, laughing. They had this a lot of fun there. So Rainbow realized her mistake and had this argument about this. Even after many years of being together, Rainbow and Surprise were still much in love with each other deeply. Both their families had wonders, when will you ask her out to marry you? Both her surprised parents had asked, when will you ask her to marry you? And Rainbow's parents had also said, will you ask her to marry you soon? Are you going to marry her? Both of them are getting this a little bit annoyed about this question. But they decided just to saying, we are waiting for the right time. We are just been start dating. And we just want to see if this relationship works out as we want to. So they both the families had stopped to ask a question. But they did ask the question only a few times afterwards, but not as frequent. But in fact, on their fifth anniversary, Rainbow had actually bought a ring in Candlelight when they were in Ponyville for, for a short visit. And then Rainbow did in fact propose to Surprise, and she could not have been more happier. She said in fact in yes immediately. All the friends and families could not have been more proud and happier. At least both of them could say no. So I had asked her to marry me. So you don't have to ask the question. And even Rainbow's parents just laughed at her when she said that. Because they didn't take this much as offensive. Because they just were so happy to see her with a big smile and knowing that she was going to be married. And even her friends were just so excited. Spitfire, she had been asked to be surprise bridesmaid, and even Fluttershy was asked to be Rainbow's bridesmaid in the wedding. Well, in fact, it was going to be held in Ponyville only a few weeks afterwards, and it was a big party. Even Pinky and Discord had organized the party afterwards. All their friends could never have been happier to see all of them being just standing there next to each other while they were dancing. Even after, they went to Las Pegasus for a whole week for honeymoon, and both of them had this great time, enjoying the rides, the magical shows, just having a great time. Even sometimes afterwards, that their parents had asked, "Will you have your own family together someday? Would you adopt a child, or how would you decide to do?" And both had actually wanted to have a family, but since they just got married, they decided to wait maybe 1 or 2 years just in case. But after 2 years, they decided it was time for them to start a family. So they had asked Twilight if she could help them, since Twilight had helped a few other pairs and a few mares in the past about helping them have a family. So, but this school, so Surprise and Rainbow talked who would be the mother, but Surprise wanted to be the mother. So, in fact, she did become pregnant only a few months later, a few weeks afterwards. But both were more surprised to hearing that they were going to have a daughter, which both were really surprised. Even Rainbow took care of Surprise while she was pregnant, and then the day came when the daughter was born. and they named the daughter to Flaming Sky. Flaming Sky. She was really much like her mother Rainbow, a fast flyer and very much in for adventures, and she loved reading about daring do with her mother. But she did in fact also love to help her mom surprise in baking. Both of us have that both passion in baking and most in reading books with her mother. But while she was growing up, she did spend a lot of time with her grandparents in Trondheim. And since that surprise was done mostly at the Wonderbolts, her grandmother took care of the baking. And since surprise mom loved to bake as well, she became as a part-time owner of the bakery. And since when the Flaming Sky was a bit older, she decided to help her grandmother at the bakery. And she did. All the customers and other employees loved her working there. And she wanted to be a baker like her grandmother. So she told her parents about this idea, and it is her dream. And they were not much against it, because they knew how much she loved to be baking and how much she loved to be around with her grandmother. So when she was old enough, when she was 20, she had actually moved from Cloudsdale to Trottingham, and she took over to get this bakery from her grandmother, and it just happened to an amazing time there. She had introduced new recipes and even kept many of the classics. She kept many of the classics bakeries recipes as well. And all the customers, they loved her service. She always smiled at them and having a big, good personality. Until one day when she met this young stallion. And after a while, he had asked her out, and only been after being together, be dating for nearly 3 years, he proposed to her. And he was actually also much into baking, and he was looking for a good place to work. And since he was a good baker, mostly a chef, but he actually started working in the bakery. And after nearly 3 years being married, they had a daughter together. And nearly 2 years later, they had a son. Both Surprise and Rainbow couldn't have been more happier to be married with each other, and especially how much Surprise loved Rainbow more than anything in the entire world. Even though there were some arguments from time to time, could have been broken up between them, but it never happened. And both of them were very much proud that never happened. And they were even happy to have a family together, to have a daughter and two grandchildren. And that's how Surprise and Rainbow Dash found a true love and got a family. The end.